You're here because you want to improve yourself. Maybe you felt overlooked, outplayed, fooled. Maybe you've watched others win not with honesty or strength, but with something you couldn't quite name. And deep down, you know, you're capable of more. But what you need isn't more effort. It's a better strategy, a different way of seeing the world, a way that doesn't demand noise or conflict, only awareness. In this life, the strongest do not always win. It is not the sword that strikes first, but the one who waits that shapes the outcome. There is a path, quiet, steady, unseen. It does not fight strength with strength. It lets strength come, and then redirects it. This is not trickery. It is not cowardice. It is the art of borrowing strength, to win without forcing, to rise by redirecting, to let the world act while you quietly shape the result. Let me show you what the wise have always known. Let me show you how to win without pushing. What is borrowing strength? To borrow strength is not to steal power. It is to allow power to pass through you. It is what the bamboo does in a storm. It bends, not because it is weak, but because it knows the wind will move on. It is what the wise merchant does in the market. He does not shout. He lets others argue over price, then offers calm certainty. To borrow strength is to allow others to act first, to swing, to shout, to struggle. And when they are tired, you step forward, gently, precisely. You let them create the momentum. You let them burn the fire. And when the fire dims, you collect the heat. You may wonder, does this truly work in the real world? Has anyone ever won by doing so little and yet achieving so much? Let us go back in time to a strategist who mastered this art not with weapons, but with wisdom. A man who stood calm before pressure and made his enemies arm him with their own hands. This is the story of Zhuge Liang and the 100,000 arrows. In 208 Red Cliffs, China, the south wind had not yet arrived. The alliance between warlords, Liu Bei and Sun Quan, was uneasy. And in that tension, a test was made. General Zhou Yu, jealous of the brilliant strategist Zhuge Liang, gave him an impossible command: produce 100,000 arrows in 3 days or face punishment. Zhuge Liang did not panic. He simply smiled, for he knew the power of letting others do the work. He made no arrows. He wasted no labor. Instead, he watched the river and waited for the fog. On the third night, with visibility low, he sent 20 boats downriver Cao Cao's army. The boats were filled with straw men, and from within, Zhuge's men beat war drums and raised flags. The enemy thought an attack was coming and rained down arrows, thousands, tens of thousands. Zhuge Liang's men simply turned the boats and sailed home, carrying the arrows gifted by their enemy's fear. That is borrowing strength. He used the enemy's panic, the fog of nature, and the urgency of others to deliver exactly what was needed, with almost no effort of his own. Zhuge Liang borrowed fear, fog, and arrows. But the East holds no monopoly on wisdom. Let us now cross to the west, to a cold, muddy field in France, where a young king faced overwhelming odds, and used the pride of his enemies to bury them in their own charge. This is the story of Henry V and the borrowed weight of Agincourt. In 1415, Agincourt, France, King Henry V stood in wet fields far from home with an exhausted English army. Across the battlefield, French nobility in shining armor, loud, certain of victory. They had numbers, wealth, horses, steel. Henry had archers. And mud. He knew what the rain had done to the land. He knew the French would come fast and heavy. So he let them charge. He let them sink. He borrowed their momentum and watched it crumble beneath them. He let them act first, with pride and power. But the very strength they brought became their undoing. English longbowmen rested behind rows of wooden stakes, fired without pause. The French were stuck, in each other's way, in the mud, in their own arrogance. Henry used the terrain, their overconfidence, and their movement as tools. He did not fight force with force. He let force burn itself out. What was once true in war remains true in peace. Today, battles are not fought with arrows or armor, but with branding, memory, and belief. Let me take you to a market, not just of fish, but of perception, where merchants no longer had the product, but still had the name. And from that name, they drew strength greater than supply. The illusion of Tsukiji Market. Tokyo, Japan, 2018 to present. For generations, the name Tsukiji Market meant one thing: the freshest seafood in the world. It was where top sushi chefs bought tuna at dawn, where tourists lined up in the dark for a bite of something sacred. But in 2018, Tsukiji's wholesale auction was closed, moved to Toyosu. The soul of the market was gone. And yet, the crowd still came. Why? Because the outer market vendors didn't resist the change. They borrowed the legend. Signs still said, "Direct from Tsukiji." Menus still honored Tsukiji tradition. Old photos lined the walls, stories of a market that once was. Even if the fish came from another city, even if it was frozen, the belief was real because the experience was shaped. They didn't fight to prove they were the best. They let the name do the work. They let the tourists' minds fill in the blanks. This is not deception. It is emotional alignment. It is letting the power of memory, of reputation, of place work for you. The 4 laws of borrowed strength. So how do the wise win without fighting? Let me give you 4 truths, carved not in stone, but in silence. Number 1, let others act first. The first move is rarely the final one. Let them reveal their hand. Number 2, turn effort into advantage. Let them burn their energy, then redirect it like wind into a sail. Number 3, use what already exists. Reputation, rhythm, fear, belief, they are tools, not barriers. Number 4, never resist. Always redirect. A wave is not broken with fists. It is ridden. The world is always moving. The wise do not stop it. They shape it gently. When to strike, when to wait. So the next time you feel pressure to fight, pause. The next time you feel forced to speak, listen. The next time you're pushed to act, observe. Let others move. Let them show themselves. And when they do, you will already be ready. To the impatient, silence looks like weakness. But to the wise, it is preparation. This is how you win. The river does not fight the stone. It passes and reshapes the mountain. Not by force, not by friction, but by knowing when to let others act and when to borrow their strength. If these words have reached you in a moment you needed them most, I hope you'll let them sit with you. Let them take root, not as answers, but as quiet companions. These are more than lessons from the past. They are tools for living, for understanding yourself, others, and the world around you. Take what resonates. Leave what doesn't. Return when you're ready. You don't need to change everything overnight. Sometimes wisdom works slowly, like water shaping stone. Just begin, wherever you are.